Hey guys, so I saw a question this morning from somebody on Reddit asking, why is it that I can't seem to manifest a change in my boyfriend when I can get pretty much anything else I want? You know, I'm really good at manifesting. Eventually, I always get what I want in every other way, but I can't seem to manifest this guy not being a jerk and having to beg and plead for him to be different. So what am I doing wrong here? I imagine him being different, you know, blah, blah. And so there were, and this person specifically said, I really don't have a problem with my self-concept. And immediately I'm like, well, yes, you do, because if you didn't, there's no way that you would have that dude in your life. He'd either be gone or he'd be acting different. Because simply put, you have the choice for who you're in a relationship with, and you wouldn't be choosing to be with somebody like that if you didn't have a self-concept problem. This is just self-concept 101 when it comes to romantic relationships and friendships and things like that. Whether or not you can change that person, whether or not you should stay with that person, that's not pertinent to the underlying point, which is that the reason that they are there and behaving that way is because you allow them to. And you allow them to because of your self-concept. It's pretty simple. You've got a reason for why you're allowing that person to be in your life. What it is, I don't know. For this particular person, before responding, because I basically wrote all this out, before responding to that, I went and, I saw the self-concept thing and I'm like, you know what? People always say this, but then you go look at their comments on Reddit. So I went to their post history and I looked in their comments on the Neville Goddard subreddit. And 2 months ago, they have a big post about something physical about themselves that they use the word, I felt shattered about it. I feel shattered about this, like an ongoing chronic health issue that affects appearance. And so I'm just like, okay, well, in 2 months, you haven't resolved that problem, obviously. So that's what it is. It's always there. The proof is always there, sometimes very easy to find, but it's always a self-concept problem. You can rationally, mentally believe, I don't deserve to be treated this way. I deserve better than this. I deserve to be with somebody who loves me and blah, blah. I'm a good person. You run down this list of all your positive qualities and you rationally can say, I deserve somebody who treats me well. But the thing is, then you get in a relationship with somebody that doesn't treat you well and you don't get rid of them. And that reveals that deep down, it's because you don't really feel that you deserve that. Because you feel, whether or not you can even consciously fully access that, whether this person can fully make the connection between what I'm getting, of course, I don't know for sure that this is what it is, but it's, what's Occam's razor? The most obvious solution is usually, the solution to the problem or the answer to the question. It's probably that there's this thing that they feel deeply flawed about. And so really they don't think they're actually good enough to be treated that way. Like deep down, they don't feel that way. And maybe even rationally, it's kind of like, well, I should be treated this way, blah, 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 blah. But that's not really how the world works. I'm really not good enough to be treated like that by somebody. It's always in there. And the way you know it's in there is by what's happening in the 3D. The 3D will tell you everything you need to know about your own character. Everything. If your life is awesome and you are happy and you've got good people around you and everything's great, there you have it. You can't get that while having all these deep, flawed ideas about yourself. If you have it briefly, it'll be gone. It's just the way it works. It's a law and it works every time. There's no exception to this. That's why you never have to feel vengeful or worry about someone else who's been a jerk to you. You can be absolutely certain that that person's life is following the same law as everybody else's, and that they're not they're not getting away with anything. Nobody gets away with anything. It doesn't work like that. So this person having this relationship in their life, it's indicative that they don't feel that they deserve anything better. And so the way that they interpret this feeling of being drawn to the person is, I love the person. When really, I personally find it pretty hard to love somebody that treats me like crap. You can have that unconditional human love for somebody, but if someone treats you like garbage, do you really love that? And if you do, are you really, is it really that hard to understand that it has to do with you feeling like you deserve to get treated like garbage, and on some level being grateful that here's this person willing to do that for you to reinforce that you feel like, that you're a piece of garbage. So this person has this thing. I'm guessing it's the thing that I saw in the post history, but it's something that makes them feel, I really truly am a match for a person that treats me like this. I don't really deserve to have somebody who I don't have to beg for attention or who treats me well or any of that stuff. Because think about it. If you did believe that, you would move on. Or the day you met that person in the first place, they would have known instantly just by being around you for a few minutes that you weren't somebody that was going to tolerate being treated that way. And so they never would have started treating you that way in the first place. There's just a lot of good wisdom out there everywhere. You don't always have to turn to like Eastern mysticism to get this stuff. Dr. Phil said you teach people how to treat you. And that's what that means. The first time somebody does something, if you look the other way, or you laugh when you should have said, don't fucking say that to me, or you go on a second date after the first one is just a dumpster fire. I am so guilty of that exact thing. I can't tell you how many second dates I've gone on with a total turd because I thought that was all that was left, or that was all I deserved. It's always about your self-concept. That person has no prayer of changing that person just by thinking they're going to be different, just by imagining them different. Neville Goddard says, don't think unlovely thoughts about other people. He says, people only show up the way that you assume they will. And people have taken that to mean so many things that it doesn't. This person is not showing up that way because she assumes he will be that way. He showed up that way because that's who he is, and that's what comes out with this person. Another person who was in the exact same situation with this particular person, the person asking the question, might have just sensed that this person wasn't quite on the same level as they were with like their own self-concept or whatever. It wasn't going to be a match. And they wouldn't just stay around and treat him like crap and like never call and give him breadcrumbs and like do the push-pull thing. They would just kindly say, I don't really think this is working. I don't think that we're really a match. Instead, this dude shows up. He's got his own issues, which is why these two remain in a thing in the first place. She gets something out of being treated in this deficient way. He gets something out of treating her in this deficient way, and it's a match. Change the part where you get something out of being treated in the way that is deficient, and you're no longer a match with a person that gets something out of treating you that way. Either they will also change, or you will end the relationship, or the relationship will just sort of end magically, or they will end the relationship. It can't stay together if there's not that toxic matchup. So if you're in a relationship that has one of these things, you're both playing your role. It's not your fault. It's just the way it works. You're both playing the role. So there really is no reason to be angry. There really is no reason to blame. There's certainly no reason to blame yourself. Taking responsibility is a different thing. You can, grow out of it and move on, and or give your partner the opportunity to reflect that. Maybe your relationship will change. Quick little anecdote here. I really didn't want this to be that long, but in the beginning of this channel, I had a friend who kind of became like, we were like trying to figure out if we were going to be in a relationship. And with that person, I really noticed this stuff fully demonstrated for me. When I first met him, it was awful. It was just ridiculous. The dynamic between us was just really just bad. Like he was like an objectifier, and I was still thinking I needed to be something that could be objectified in order to like get the relationship I wanted. This was almost 3 years ago, before I did all of this major like transformative stuff that year in 2019. And so when I first met him, I was in this really bad mental place. Like, I'm not good enough physically. I had just lost a bunch of weight. I was still really unsure, like, is my body good enough? You know, it was just, I was in this bad place. And so I was extremely, extremely attracted to this guy. And he just played his role back, reflecting that perfectly. He gave me like no validation about any of it. I was constantly feeling like, does he think I'm good enough? Does he think I'm good enough? And he would, you know, he would respond with the exact type of behavior that reinforced that. And then I, you know, thankfully, like, I was in the process of moving out of this mentality. So, you know, I was just like, this is it. I can't do this. This is over. Don't even, like, don't talk to me again. And then did a little work, was still thinking about him, reached out to him. We got, I think I was the one who contacted him, and we kind of got into a friendship. We were both dating other people already, like 3 months later. And so we were just kind of like friendly. And then the relationship that the person I was dating then, same reason, like, I still wasn't there mentally, but knew it wasn't right. So ended it again, you know, like, back to the drawing board. Still haven't fixed it. And ended up kind of like, he ended his relationship or whatever. So then there we are, both single again. And we kind of start this thing again where we're talking, we're not together. But as I changed, his behavior completely changed to reflect that. Whenever he would suggest that we get together to do something, it was always with this tone of, you do all the work. Like, always. He was just like, that was my perception. You know what? To be honest with you, maybe I just felt that I had to do all the work in order for him to want to hang out with me. I think, looking back on it, that there was an element on his end as well, but I could be wrong. So I'm just going to say that, like, maybe it was all in my head, but I just remember thinking, man, he thinks so little of me that, like, I think if I didn't drive, he lived an hour away. I think if I didn't drive out there to hang out with him, I don't think we'd ever see each other. And after like a couple months, so like right when I started this channel, was right after I had this major, like, brain rearrangement about my value. Like, some stuff that had really been fucking me up was gone. And I just stopped wanting, I was just like, what am I doing? I don't want to drive out there to hang out with him. He really hasn't treated me that well this year. You know, who cares whether or not it was me or him? I was just like, you know, I'm not interested in this. Like, I don't really feel like driving out there. So he made some suggestion about me coming out there, and I just said, you know what? I've got a lot to do on Friday, and I just don't know if I'm really going to be up for driving out there Saturday. Sorry. Instantly. Because I never would have said that, literally. And I was like scared to say it. It was what I really felt. I was just like, I don't really feel like going out there this weekend. And in the past, I would have just been like, well, okay, you know, and I'll just do it because, you know, I was just like, man, you know what? If I have to do all the work to make this relationship happen, I'm ready to let it go because I'm fucking tired of this, and it's not worth that much, and it's not really reflecting but the value I feel about myself at this point, like having this person around. It might just be time to let this go. So I was like, yeah, I don't really feel like it. Instantly, all of a sudden, now he's the one driving out to me. Immediately. I think that he was like, well, do you want me to I was like, there was like a bar or something that had just opened by me that I had mentioned. Somebody I knew was like the owner. And he was like, well, how about if I drive out and we go out to that bar? From then on, I don't think I drove out there a single time after that. That was like February, and we had this thing going on between February and like June. I don't think I ever drove out there again a single time after that. Like, it completely flipped on its head once I was no longer being that person. Once I was just like willing to let it go. His behavior completely changed. Completely. Overnight. And then it was, you know, I really love you. It just like all this stuff came out of this outer change in me. And then eventually, the thing that had been bothering me about that relationship was like, he would never be exclusive with me, which definitely reflected that I didn't feel that I was good enough. You know, it was like this perfect thing. As soon as I was just like, man, I don't need this anymore at all. Once, you know, after we'd gone through a bunch more romantic bullshit, once again, when I was like, man, I just really don't need this. And all of a sudden he's like, I'm willing to be in a committed relationship with you now. I had already met Matt at that point, so it was too late. But anyway, I hope you found some value in this. When I look at the timer and it's 15 minutes, I'm just like, man, does anyone really want to hear this shit? But anyway, I hope that there was something in there, you know, man, it just, Sometimes it just takes hearing one thing stated one way when you're in just the right frame of mind to just make it click into place. And so that's why I make this channel, even though sometimes I'm just like, did this fucking make any sense? Somebody out there who's in a relationship like that with somebody, you know, I hope that like hearing something like this just makes you go, oh, yeah, you know what? I really don't feel like doing this anymore. Fuck it. And then you will see how this plays out. You know, you will have, once you have the courage to just, you know, be willing to let the things that aren't reflecting the value that you know you have go, you'll see how they change. Like, you'll see how they respond to that, and how people's behavior really is coming from you in a large way. I mean, a person's capacity for being a douchebag, that's all on them. Some people are never douchebags. That's how you know that, you know, you don't just it's not because you think somebody's going to be some way that they are. That can't be true, because you can't just think somebody's going to be a douchebag and then they are, if they're not one. So it's something else, you know, it's your assumption of a person affects you and your behavior and what you bring out of them. So that's why, like, you know, a total dickhead boss can be never like that to this one guy. And you're just like, what's up with this one guy? It's like the boss senses that he can't treat that guy like that, or that guy will walk, or that guy will talk to the guy above him who also thinks he's a douchebag, and he'll, you know, people can sense these things about each other. And that's why these assumptions that you have of other people do things. It's not because you're controlling them mentally. It's not because they don't exist in the same way that you exist. It's not because they don't have free will, but you do. No one has free will, or everyone has free will to the same degree. I see all the time people saying, you're the only one that has free will. No, nobody has free will. Or everyone has it in the same way. It's that you have the ability to essentially shape yourself in imagination into the person that you want to be, and that will elicit everything that you want from everything around you, from the world around you. So hope that made sense and helped somebody. Thanks. Bye.